Gang, if you're curious, what we're using right now, because there's a lot of different options. We in our company, we use GoToMeeting, GoToWebinar. We use Zoom, Zoom Meeting, Zoom Webinar. What we've learned over the past few months is that each one of those very popular platforms have two different platforms within it. So for example, here's Cindy coming back. So right now we're all on Zoom. Cindy, what happened to you?
Oh, technical issues. It changed down to a teeny tiny box about this big on my screen. So I went out and came back in.
Okay, good.
The whole effect.
All right, great. I'm glad you're back. I figured it was something. So I was just explaining to them, Cindy, that this, because one of the questions that we got, which by the way, gang, what I did was, this is just some of the pages. So a lot of you are really good at telling us what you wanted to cover on this call. So what I did for the past couple of days is I personally went through these questions. I grouped them, and so there's a lot of redundancies. And then anyway, the point is we put all these questions together for you. And we're going to talk about in brainstorming here. One of the questions was the types of platforms. So while we're waiting for everybody to pile in the next 5 minutes, so we are on Zoom right now, and Zoom has two different products for the most part. They have Zoom Meeting and Zoom Webinars. The difference is with meetings, you can do more of an intimate classroom conversation. So if you had 30 people and it was a Zoom meeting, we'd see everybody's faces, everybody can talk, everybody has control over their own microphone and over their own camera. So just think of you having a board meeting, you would use Zoom Meetings. Zoom Webinar is more controlled by the presenter, which is what this is. So Cindy and I are co-hosts. We both have equal power, which is very exciting, the power we have over everybody, just plain. And what we can do is we can promote people to be a panelist on the call. And what else can we do with this? We can mute people, you raise your hand. So it's more of like a real live seminar where the instructor controls the room, can answer questions, etc. Why would you do one over the other? It's the technology of it. The meetings, there's a limit as to how many people you can have on it. That's the big thing. So we were originally a meeting on this call where we could see each other. And because the response was so great, as I'd mentioned to people who were just calling in, we had over 200, I think we pushed up to 240 ed directors who wanted to be on this call. So we had to technically switch over to the webinar model. Now, one last thing, as we've got 3 minutes left, is there is GoToMeeting, GoToWebinar, similar concept. Different companies, different looks, but all right, that's about it. So Cindy, how you doing?
I'm doing good, other than the dogs are going crazy all of a sudden. So I'm texting my upstairs to tell her, please take care of the dogs.
I did the same thing. We had a little cat at our door over here, so I had to say, all right, we got to get rid of our cat.
We're all in the same boat. There's dogs, there's cats, there's kids. Everybody's working from home.
Working from home.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I don't know how true that is, right? You know, there's some states, they don't have the kind of lockdown that some of the other states do. For example, New York, you know, I was watching it today. It's really bad here. And really getting hit. We have how many cases just in New York? I think it's, what is the number? 15,000?
Something like that. Yeah,
we're like huge. It's like ridiculous.
You're like the current epicenter for the United States.
Yeah, we're already running out of ventilators in the hospitals, and which is forcing nurses to make choices about who gets a ventilator, who doesn't. It's really bad. So but let's try and keep it on a high note here. I don't want to go into a dark place with this. I'm assuming everybody that's on this call is safe, and I pray that nobody has any family members or close people that are going through this disease, or even impact financially. You know, there's the other aspect. It's not just the disease, but it's the financial people are losing businesses. We know I know personal friends, 20 businesses they had to close. 20, and in New York, really horrible. But anyway, okay. So like I said, let's keep it kind of light. So
Darryl, we have a lot of new people that just joined us. If you want to explain the interaction again, because a lot of people are asking.
Yeah, so I'll do it one more time after this, but let me do it again now. So gang, here's how it works. We had to go to this format, which is a webinar format. Here's how it works. You have Cindy, obviously, as you can see, and myself are hosting this. Julie, who is that invisible voice in the background. That is my right hand, left hand in my company. She's helping us manage and moderate this. The rest of y'all is that if you want to ask a question, even if it's your dog who wants to participate and share something, you have one of those little rat dogs, don't you, Cindy? I can tell from the bark. It's very high pitch.
Yes.
Yeah. But anyway.
That's her coworker. Don't talk about her coworker that way.
He's my mental health provider right now.
That's right.
From home.
That's a very good point. I love that, Cindy. So if you, going back to what I was saying, if you want to participate, ask a question, share something, anything like that, all you have to do is at the bottom of your picture screen somewhere, there is something called raise hand. So if you click on raise hand, we will see it pop up on the menu, and then I'll activate you, and that means we'll be able to hear you, and then we'll go on and off like that. Julie, can you see when people raise their hands, or is that just Cindy and I?
Yep, I can see it.
Okay, good. So,
you don't have to stress. I'll moderate the chat and.
Great. So that's what Julie's here for, to help with that and manage that. So Cindy and I don't have to worry about it. So chat and raise hands. We are at 101, Cindy. So let's get this party started.
Recording, yes? Yes.
I am recording, yes? Okay. So first, gang, let me just jump to our slides. What you're seeing right now over to the left is these are all the questions that you asked. Let me go through the instructions and get real official here. So I want to welcome everybody. And Cindy and I both are so glad that you're here. Real quick, how this came about is, as most of you know, Cindy does the annual Rapid conference. And because we had to postpone that, and she'll talk about that in a second, Cindy had this great idea. Let's maybe still communicate with the ed directors, see how they're doing, help them. Now, that was before things got as crazy as they have over the past several weeks. So I feel that, like, I'm really glad that we're doing this. I know you guys are too. We are definitely in a new real estate reality as instructors and leaders in our boards of realtors. And let me tell you something before I go any further, and I mean this with all sincerity, is that you all are on the front lines, and agents need you more now than ever. And I know you know this. I know you can feel that they're coming to you for help and solutions. And your position is so important to the industry as a whole, because the ripple effect that you create in the world by helping your members through this incredibly tough time. Here's the agenda for our call. Cindy and I will do a little warm up. Sounds like a comedy routine, Cindy. She's my straight lady. And what I'm going to do is, after we banter a little bit, Cindy and I, she has some stuff to share. I'm going to read your questions that you emailed in advance. Let me just stop. I know some of you are probably like, well, I didn't do that. I didn't get a chance. I didn't fill out that form. Don't worry. There's a process here. We're going to start with those questions first. You'll raise your hands. Again, for new people who came to the call, you will see on the panel somewhere where it says raise hand. When you raise your hand, we'll be able to unmute you and talk to you, and you'll be able to talk and ask and contribute. I may make some additional inputs based on the research. When I was going through your questions, I wanted to give you some really great nuggets to walk away with, not on every single question, but on some of them. If we have time towards the end, we'll open it up to additional questions. We have this slotted not for an hour, but an hour and a half. Okay, so that's what we've got slotted here. If we don't get your question, there's my cell number. And so if you'll just jot that down there, I'll teach you a little tech thing too if you want. If you were to hit the print screen on your keyboard, what you're seeing on the screen right now, bada bing, you'll be able to capture it. And you just got to know where that's going on your computer. So if you're not tech savvy, it's somewhere there where it's saved. But that's my phone number, 631-681-2026. Okay. Now, Facebook page. So, we're not streaming. I have to do that. Hang on. Whoops. So that's one of the things that we wanted to do. So where am I? Hang on one second. Sorry about that.
Darryl, are you going to be sharing those slides with the group?
Yes, we are going to do that.
Cool.
We are. So gang, there's Julie, can you text while I'm doing what I'm doing right now? Because I want to teach everybody this concept. Can you please give them the Facebook closed group that we created for all the ed directors?
Sure.
And put that in the text so they can link to it right now. For those of you that are on your computers, I'm going to ask you, hang on, educators, brainstorming session, because this is actually a teaching thing at the same time. What I like you to do is Julie should be texting you in the chat
1 second.
a link to the closed Facebook group that we created for you. It's specifically dealing with our challenges that we're dealing with. And if Julie, so we should be
sent it. It's facebook.com/groups/ED Unite. So Ed Unite /. If you'll check your chat, you should see it there.
If you'll click on that, now you should be logged into your Facebook account in order for that to work. Otherwise, it's going to ask you to log in, and that would just be a little cumbersome. So let me go back to sharing my screen, and then I will go back to this. So in case, so that's that is the group that we created, my company, ED Unite, Ed Directors Unite. When you go there, this is a closed group. So you'll have to answer 3 questions because we are policing people. We don't want non-ed directors in NAR to be in this group. What I'm doing right now is I'm actually streaming this video, this conversation into that group too, because sometimes people like to do that. We found that with our students, they actually love watching and participating more that way. So I wanted you to see that experience. While you're doing that, I do want to say one other thing is that everybody on this group here is on different levels, meaning some of you are seeing absolutely no change or very little change in your real estate market. Agents are still able to do open houses, show property, and then there's other states like New York and California and so on, Connecticut, where they basically have closed the state down and non-essential businesses, real estate being one of them, you're not allowed to operate. That means no open houses, no showings, no listing appointments. So there's different levels here, and we're going to try and help everybody as far as the ed directors in this. Abby, Chris, I just see that you raised your hand. That's so cool. So let me see. Cindy, can you let me see how to do that?
Do you want me to do it?
Can you?
Yeah.
If you will enable her to talk. Yeah. So gang, just be patient with us because we didn't anticipate.
Oh, no, I can see her, but I can't unraise her hand. That's a you.
Let me see. Okay.
You'll scroll all the way to the top of the attendees. You'll see.
I got it. I got it. Abby, I just empowered you to talk. Go ahead, Abby.
Yes, I wanted to let you know that Connecticut real estate was deemed one of the essential businesses. So we are still open, actually.
Okay, great. Well, that's great. Abby, thank you so much for letting me know that. That's congratulations on that. That's awesome. Okay, I'm going to disable your talking now. And again, Abby, anytime, same thing. Okay, good. We'll get the hang of this. It's very awesome. Okay, your members, yeah, definitely are afraid. We're going to give you some suggestions of that. for those of you who don't, I think a lot of you know me, that we're a training company, work really with the agents closely, a coaching company. And boy, I'll tell you, the feeling that we're getting, agents are afraid what's in this market. Okay, so I want to get to your questions. I'm anticipating that this may be the first of many calls. You'll decide if you think that this was useful. I'm not going to go through the same opening over and over again. This is our first call, setting the groundwork. And then, you know, this could be a weekly thing where we just get together and do some brainstorming. Again, there's my cell number, 631-681-2026. Which, by the way, I'm here all the time. I'm not traveling. I'm from New York, so I'd actually welcome your calls because I need some distractions over here. I'm going out of my mind. And the resource page. Let me show you what this is. Here's what we created for you based on your questions. Where am I, Julie? Here we are, gang. If you'll write
You need to
this.
refresh that page, Darryl.
Okay. Thank you, Julie. So, gang, if you'll, here's what we did for you. If you'll, Julie, please text everybody the website, or gang, you can take a picture of this.
Yeah, I'm on it.
What?
I'm on it.
Okay. And gang, here's what we did for you is that we created, based on your questions, my team did this in the last 12 hours. Seriously, what we did was we looked at apps for virtual delivery and training. We researched these. We didn't just throw a bunch of stuff on there. We have thoughts and opinions about every one of these. I won't go through them now, but these are the best ones for you to consider. They have different features. Some of it's a personal thing too. It's almost like a diet. You know, it's like, which diet works? Well, it's the one you want to use. So any one of these will be very successful for you. We also found some video for you to help you based on your levels. There's tips for delivering webinars, virtual stuff. There's other links that we added for you. I will tell you, Realtor Daily News, the Realtor Magazine, Daily News, this link, they're doing awesome work in communicating to the members what's happening, and it is daily. So I really encourage you to look at that. There's a resource for you. What this video is, I'm going to tell you, and this is a shout out to Marianne Monteleone from the Long Island Board of Realtors. She asked me, although we're going to change that look, it looks like I'm ready to shoot somebody, Julie. So we'll fix that. But what this video is a 5-minute video that is inspirational for your members. Plus, it's me validating you as the ed director on how much you care and how hard you're working to help them through this challenging time. So in the first, couple of minutes, it's really about me validating you as their ed director. So look at it. If you think it'll be useful for you, and I did this not just for Marianne, there were a couple other ed directors that said we need to help our members know that we're working for them. So this is what I did for you as a third-party testimonial. And in this, there is, this link here will help you embed it into your website, or you can just download the YouTube and send it as an email, however you want to do it. Okay, let me go back to the slides. Where are they? Okay. All right. Okay. And this will be the first of many calls, resource page. So I already gave you that. Okay. So now before we go any further, Cindy, because we're going to jump to the questions. Cindy, why don't you share with them about the Rapid and where we are, because I want to make sure we're clear. So just take it away, Cindy.
Well, we did postpone it. It's now going to be 11th through 13th, still here in Wichita, providing things go the way we all hope they will go. If not, then we will look at doing something more virtual instead, because it is still an important conference for all of you. What we're doing, how we're serving members, how to do it best. That's why I'm thankful for Darryl and his phenomenal team who've been busy on taking care of their own business, but also working on all of this stuff for us and help us be able to deal with what we need to now.
Cindy, can you repeat the date? You kind of cut out.
Yep, August 11 through 13.
Cut out again.
August 11th, I think you said?
Through 13th.
Through the 13th. I'm sorry I didn't add that to the slide.
Yeah.
And do we, you know what, Cindy, do we have the web address? Did you change it on the web yet?
It is, everything's updated on the website, which is rapdd.com.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do, gang, is some, like you asked, I'm going to just send you a copy of all these slides. And we are recording this. And what we're going to do for you is I'm going to have this recording transcribed into a Word document also. So that's what we're going to give everybody, okay? Okay. And by the way, one other last thing about the rapid, Cindy, you want to tell them where, I know the signal's a little choppy on your end, and I'll repeat it, but you want to tell them about some of the new stuff that you're going to have this year?
We are going to be doing a more dual training between both the ed directors and the educators. Things that are pertinent to both ends of us to work together a little more collaboratively, because the more they help us, the more successful both of us are. We will also be breaking down by local, state, and by association size for live masterminding, so that you're in a group that's going through a lot more and has a lot more of the same issues, resources, and budget that you do, so that it's more relevant in your discussions and what you're learning from one another. The only thing on the schedule right now that is changing is Adorna Carroll could not make the change of dates. Her sessions are still on there. She's going to deliver those in 2021. What we will do instead is, as we see things come out right now, our current conditions, we're going to look to make those sessions that she had booked sessions for our new reality and helping us deal in the new reality.
Yeah, and you know, that's the other thing I think is really important, gang, is that this, assuming we get through this by August, so again, things change every 24 hours. I think this rapid conference will probably be the most important conference that Cindy has ever put together, because we're going to have a new real estate reality, people coming back to the classrooms, coming out of this crisis. And I think face-to-face, us getting together and putting a plan together going into the last quarter and into the beginning of the next year is going to be so crucial. So yeah, if you haven't gotten a seat there yet, please do so. All right. So now we're going to do the questions. And so the first question is from O'Hara Kessler from Memphis Association, and everyone had the similar question is, what software are you using for online training or alternate delivery methods? So I have some opinions, but I want to open it up to you all as far as what would you, whoops, sorry, what did I just do? Hang on. I just did something really weird to my screen. Hang on a second. Matthew Ferrara is here. I'm so glad you're here, buddy. Let me figure out how to, see, Matthew is the real, here we go. So Matthew, you're good to go, Matthew. Go ahead, buddy.
All right, great. Thanks for doing this today. Really appreciate your leadership, Darryl, Cindy, and everyone on your teams, because we definitely need this. So I just quickly add here, what software are we using for online training and alternate delivery? One, of course, is exactly what we're in right now, using the Zoom environment. Two things that I would mention about the Zoom environment: for many organizations and for many trainers, you might just need the simple environment, the Zoom meeting one, where people can just jump on, see some slides, see your smiling face, use the chat room, and you do like you do in a normal classroom. Ask people to raise their hand and engage. There is the Zoom webinar platform, which is what we're in today, right? So you can reach a lot of people. They can not only raise their hands and do Q&A, but love the fact that you can do polls, that you can actually annotate on the screens, just like you mark up on a flip chart. So, you know, Zoom is definitely one that I would recommend. But let me also just say this. For a lot of us, you know, we can also keep it real simple. You might have small masterminds and small coaching groups that if you need to just use what you have, flick open your iPad and, you know, just use FaceTime if you know, just for those quick little things as necessary. So I know that, you know, that's much better for one-to-one or two people, something like that. But FaceTime itself has been upgraded to handle more people. But I think Zoom is the winner for simplicity, and it's the winner for our students because it can be run on anything. I like to say, I mean, you could pretty much run it on a toaster if you could plug that thing into the internet. So that would be my suggestion.
Great. Thank you, Matthew, so much. So glad to see you here. And, you know, just a shout out to him too. He had a call today, an hour before ours, working with other educators in the country. And a lot of you know Matthew. He's an incredible speaker. And I invited him to be on this call because he's quite brilliant. All right. Anybody else have any contribution to that? Raise your hand as far as what are you using in software for online training or any other alternative things. Rita, I'm going to your next. I just unmuted you. And then Letty will be. And then Deborah Hernandez. Oh, so happy. Go ahead, Rita.
So we moved 78 classes through the end of April all onto the online platform rather than canceling them. For our new member orientation, we just decided to use the GoToWebinar platform to gather insights and to be able to show clicking in and clicking out. And then, of course, for all the other classes, we are using the Zoom platform. We're currently using the Zoom meeting option as opposed to the GoToWebinar or the meeting webinar, but we will be looking at that because we're planning to most likely move into May for all of our classes to be online just for consistency. But we've had it set up so that we are the host and then we share with our instructors the co-host option. We allow the students to, you know, to speak up when they want. We have it where they're required to be on camera the entire time. So the instructor and we have a staff auditor who's there for the duration. We're using our digital sign-in, sign-out program that we were able to create a couple years ago. So the student basically just has to hover over the screen with their phone, and it gives them a scan-in option, and it timestamps them, verifies on our end who they are. So we've been.
Rita, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
But that's some high-tech stuff you got going there, and that was a really common question I was getting from all the education directors about how to police participation online virtually. So can you pause there and just embellish on that a little bit? Is this something that you guys wrote and created, or is it a third party out there?
So we do have our own in-house technology that created the digital sign-in through our app, through the HAR app. So what it does is it ties to their membership record, and it gives us a QR code that's original to each class for both sign-in, sign-out. And what happens is whenever we had to turn off the digital, the geo-fencing device because it was set up for security purpose that they could share the QR code if they weren't on the site taking the class in the location that it was deemed. But since it's remote now, we turned that off. And so it is unique to us. However, Texas Realtors, the state has their Fast Pass, and I know Deb's on the call, and so she could probably elaborate on that, where everybody in the state has access to a digital verification process. But the way we've set it up right now, it is a little labor intensive and staff intensive. However, volunteers could also help participate with this. Okay. Advisory group of committee members where we have someone who essentially sends out the link the day before saying, here's your unique ID, kind of like you guys did on auto. To say your Zoom meeting is tomorrow between 12 and 2. Here's the direct link. We send it out the day prior, and then about 45 minutes prior to start, we resend that again from the person that's planning to audit the class. And then the staff is the person that begins the, launches it, stays on for the duration. They're there to make sure that they can see the person the entire time, just kind of scrolling through. We've got a great slide, and I don't mean to just go on and on, but we've got a great slide that, that I can share with you guys, that has, you know, the rules and responsibility of the student for participation. So that, you know, you must be on camera the whole time, you must not be on your phone,
Right.
you know, trackable, that sort of thing. And then at the end, we scan them out.
Rita, that's awesome. If you wouldn't mind, because this is what we're going to do, is that great outline that you just started to rattle off and to share with everybody, and any of this other, if you can post that in that closed Facebook group for the that we created, and that's where we can start dumping ideas, is in this closed group. Do you mind?
No, and not at all. I'll work on laying it out in writing, and I'll get something up today. Somebody asked about the non-member rate. We did waive all non-member rates for designation classes, so that if anybody wants to let their members know that it's still available. We're not trying to take your members, we're just trying to give them an opportunity to be able to take a class if maybe your association wasn't able to continue the efforts. So yeah, as far as they can just sign in, they'll have to set up a kind of a consumer account, which is just so we know who their name, their information, how to reach out and give them the link. And then whenever they do sign in, we'll have a process for them sharing their verification, their ID on a private side, so that we can make sure that they are who they say they are. And then the credit will be processed through.
That's awesome. I know Marianne Monteleone, we were talking, and she has something too as far as tracking attendance. I know that was one of our questions later on, but we're going to stay with this flow that we got going here. And Rita, is there anything else you wanted to share on that? Because then I'll jump to Deborah. Letty, I want to jump to Deborah because it would piggyback on what Rita was saying, being that she's Texas.
Yeah, I think the only thing was that I set up a Zoom training time with the instructors that were going to be teaching this, kind of gave them some best practices, walked through in a visual element, how they share the screen, how they sign in, what our process is going to be, gave them opportunity if they felt 100% comfortable moving forward to go forward. And if they wanted to not teach in that platform, just let me know. We'd find somebody to kind of sub in for them. You know, I think one of the biggest things is, you know, a lot of contract instructors depend on what we're providing them for. You know, we've committed to having these classes, and so we want to not take that, you know, opportunity to make some money from teaching classes. So we want to still keep them in business. And then right now, while the members have time to be at home, I mean, this is a great opportunity. And a lot of them were really concerned about just having access to compliance. And so we wanted to be able to make sure that we provided them with that opportunity to stay compliant. And the state of Texas at this point, you know, the Real Estate Commission has not extended any deadlines for license renewal. So
great stuff, Rita. Great stuff. You gave me another idea too. I'll share this, and then I'm going to jump to Deborah, and then back to you, Letty. But you know what? That was so brilliant what you just shared, Rita. And I think what we'll do at the end of this call, we may even decide, hey, maybe that we'll have specific topics, like whoever's an expert at online tracking CE class, for example, and one of you all will actually facilitate that meeting next time. And so it's not just brainstorming, but we delve deep on a specific topic. So anyway, Rita, thank you so much. Bless your heart. I'm going to take you off talking, and I'm going to now jump to Debbie. And where are we? There you go, Deborah.
Just have to hit on mute. Hi, how are you?
Good, Deborah. How are you?
Doing well.
Great to hear your voice.
Oh, thank you. Good to see you on camera. Sorry. That's all right. Later. So how can I help you? Do you just want me to?
Oh, I saw you raise your hand, so I thought you wanted to share something.
Yeah.
You just practice.
Yeah, I'll just jump off of what Rita was talking about. Zoom actually does have a feature within the app that we're just using private chat. If to either scan somebody's card you know, they've got the same, we have an app on the website actually, so it's not dependent on an app per se. It's actually just part of their membership. It's embedded into the website, and it has the QR code. But we're also using, if we're checking IDs, like because we do have to check IDs in Texas, if they don't have that, we can check their ID, just having them send us that information through private chat. So then it's not just being displayed to the world.
Got
That's one of the ways that we're dealing with that. We've moved to a remote environment. We were already offering quite a few broadcast courses. We were offering them through the local associations at their locations because we were trying to encourage members to come into their local association. Well, now that's not a good idea. So now we're delivering it straight to the member through the local associations and using them as the moderators to kind of control those groups. They're still registering them through that, through their local association, and being involved as part of that, you know, for the broadcast courses that we're doing. Regular classes that we're doing, same thing. We're using Zoom as a delivery mechanism for those classes.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, Deborah. I'm going to take care of muting you, and you're all set. And now, Letty, let me just stop that. Go ahead, Letty. You should be able to talk now. And I think you got to just unmute yourself, Letty. So that's up to you to do that, I think, on your end, Letty. And I'm sure she's looking. There she goes. Go ahead, Letty.
Okay, good afternoon all. Miami's been doing, prior to this craziness, we started with Miami Realtors Live, and it's a platform in which our members can go in, and also non-members with their IDs, and they can access a library. It's like a playlist of all the seminars that we have, either live, that members are actually, or our instructors are actually doing from our locations. We've also embedded webinars. We've done YouTubes that you can embed. You can also have evaluations. And if the course was to have a cost, we would be able to process the cost as well.
Awesome. Very good. Thank you, Letty. You know, I'll take care of so you don't have to worry about the muting part. I'm going to say we're going to go on to the next question. You know, when you hear a fellow ed director share something like Letty and Rita, you know, we need to reach out to each other more, perhaps, you know, just get on the phone and let's call each other as we work through the challenges that we have. So let me go on to the next question, which is actually Cindy. Cindy, this is your question. When I was going through this, oh, look, my moderator actually asked the question. That was so cool. Are you seeing more success with live broadcasts, recorded podcasts, or webinars? So is anybody seeing a difference using those things? Just raise your hand. And did you raise your hand again, Letty? I'm going to let you talk again because it looks like you might have raised your hand again. While I just took Letty, you can talk. Go ahead.
No, I hadn't raised my hand again.
All right. Well, that's I just did something stupid, so I'm going to disable you. That sounds so bad, but that's my choice. The screen says disable Letty. All right, so I just put you back on mute. So does anybody using some live broadcasts, recorded podcasts, or webinars, are you having any success with more than one over the other? And Matthew, go ahead, buddy, and then I'll jump over to some of these people. Go ahead.
Well, real quick, I actually think that I'm seeing a lot more engagement on the live webinars. I love the idea of making people turn their camera on. I think that's helpful, which we heard a little earlier. But I honestly believe that right now there's just more interest in everything we can do as educators to give people direction and give them some quick things that they can focus on. And so I think engagement by default will go up. But I think when you're in a virtual environment, the ability to use multiple formats that lower the barrier. So some people are cool typing when they might not have actually asked a question in a live classroom. Other people might be cool typing even using the private feature, like typing to the instructor privately. So in some ways, the technology might help us reach more of our students and engage with more of our students because of just what it makes possible for students who might otherwise be shy or afraid of asking a dumb question. And then for those who are always going to talk up anyways, which is awesome, the video allows us to still leverage their enthusiasm and help them help us teach. So just some thoughts.
Thank you, Matthew, so much. I will say, while he was sharing, it made me think of something that we're doing too, and I'm going to come to you, Michelle McKenna, next, is that we're actually going to be putting, Cindy, on our website. We're going to start promoting this, a motivational hotline, a dedicated phone number. So this is low tech because we're all thinking webinars and live interaction. And the question is there any other things that we're doing and having other success? I don't know if this can, I'm going to go old school with this, Cindy, but we're going to every day, I'm going to start my day off recording a motivational 60-second message that realtors can just call that number to get a dose of Darryl to, kind of lift their spirits. I don't know if it's going to work, but we're going to push that out there. It'll be easy for us to do. And it's just that, people have different, some people prefer Instagram, some people Facebook, some webinars, podcasts. So you're trying to try and hit everybody. Michelle.
Well, before you go to Michelle, I'm kind of curious, as a caveat to that, does anybody worry that it's going to be hard to go back to a classroom, or will this actually do away with doing live classroom courses once all this virus stuff clears up? Is this going to be the new norm for our education?
It's a great, you know what, actually, Cindy, that was one of the common questions that we got, and I have a slide on that. So, but let's talk about that now. Let me, to add to this conversation, Cindy's asking, right? What's the challenge? Is there going to be a challenge to get them back into the classroom when we get through the other side? Michelle, I'm taking you off mute, so while I allow you to speak, you have to unmute yourself now. So,
Hello.
Yeah. Hi, Michelle.
Hi. Oh, sorry, that got the dog going. Oh God. Sorry about that.
No,
so,
it's
Neighbor's been doing live streaming for about a year and a half now. They were so quiet the whole time until now. Neighbor was doing live streaming for about a year and a half. We have a monthly lunch and learn that we live stream. We're still getting people in the classroom, but the one that we did the beginning of March, I had a whole lot more people on the live stream than we did in the room because people were starting to get nervous. It was right at the beginning of March. So I don't think it's going to take away from classroom. So all of our live streams we do record and put in a video library. Some of the videos are password protected, so they're for neighbor members only. Some of them are on the public facing site. It just depends on what the materials are. But we've had a lot of success doing the live stream. We're set up with cameras in the room, with the mics and everything. We haven't done any where that was interactive yet, to where people could ask questions and the instructors would see it in real time. That's something obviously we might need to go to if we're doing anything else, but we have not been able to do CEs yet that way because I don't have a way to monitor whether people are still engaged.
Gotcha. Well,
yeah, and I know that Casey popped up in our messages that she'd like to know from states that have regulators that aren't approving these type of things for CE. And I know that for me, yes, I have to track, they have to be there 100% of the time. The only way I can get around it right now would be to do tests at the end. And the questions have to be randomized from student to student. I'd have that hurdle to figure out as well. So I know that there are some that don't allow CE in these formats at all, or some where you've got to figure out some extra hoops to get it.
Oh, I'll tell you what we did, Cindy, in New York, as far as that CE part, is that, I mean, my office actually did this because we do have one of our courses is approved for CE in New York. And so my team called Department of Licensing in New York and I said, what's the new reality? They didn't have anything. And we literally pushed them to agree to letting us temporarily teach our approved class online. then how they asked us to do it is to record it like we're recording this, but we can only do 49 people at a time is what they told us. Now, Marianne has another solution, but anyway, they invented a new rule for us is my point, because we pushed them. And the message I want to give y'all on that is that people may be in the box like this is how we do what we do because this is how we've always done it. And they may need some coaching or pushing or advice to think outside of the box because we have a new reality. Again, it depends on your state. New York, we have such an epidemic going on here. And in South Dakota, it's not an issue as much. So anyway, let me open up to Lacey here. Lacey, I'm going to allow you to talk. And it's so good to see you here, Lacey. So you're ready to go, I think. Let me see. Yes, you are now. You just got to, yeah, go ahead, Lacey.
There we go. Hi. I just wanted to chime in on Cindy's worry about taking away from the live CE because we don't really do much for live stream. Well, we don't do anything for live stream. Our governing entity in Minnesota is one of the most difficult in the country after talking with other ed directors I found. And so it's one of the things we're going to have to work on. Darryl, I love that you said push them to make the change. I think that's where we're at. They're going to have to try to do away with some of the archaic ways. But I think that, I hope that when we are back to business as usual, that we've still created an environment where there is a lot of value in the face-to-face interaction. I don't think that will go away as long as we're doing the right things, but I certainly think this is forcing my association to have to look at figuring out how we can do more online than maybe we would have, expediting the process. We had talked about putting this in our 2021 business plan, and now it's like, well, okay, we're going to put it in now. But I think hopefully by doing what we're doing, create value online, but continue to offer those on-site classes. Our phones are blowing up with our older members asking how they're going to get their CE done. They don't do online. They don't know how to do online. So maybe just offering more support to those. I mean, to the point of like, how do we do a tutorial to help some of our other agents figure out the online component? But I just wanted to chime in on that. I think that there's still opportunity to create value in the live face-to-face. I don't think that will ever completely go away. You just have to make sure there's a lot of value in it.
I think, just to echo what you said, Lacey, we were thinking, my office was talking about the very thing because that question, being that I am, the business that we are, I'm a live seminar guy. And so that was a question we had. Now, of course, we're doing more webinars than we ever have and et cetera. But that's a concern for us. Are people going to not want me to come do a live seminar because I got used to the training? And here's what we came up with, is that Disney is now doing virtual rides online. The Museum of Natural History, you can now tour the museum online. You have, what am I missing, Julie? What was the other online thing that people were putting online? I can't remember.
Yeah,
There's
aquariums.
museums doing it.
What
Yeah,
was-
zoos.
Zoos, aquariums, theme parks, the museums. I mean, literally everybody.
Oh, the opera. You can watch
Yes.
the Met, New York, free online to watch it up. So here's what I think they all believe. And even online, like Disney's channel, they're releasing movies quicker. Netflix is releasing movies quick because you can't go to the movie theaters here in New York. They shut down. So here's what I think. Right now, that's what we're doing when we come back to the way things were in that respect. People are going to be hungry. Here's what I assert. I believe, Lacey, that once we open up the doors to live again, we're going to have agents running to the live classes because they're going to miss it. It's going to be special again.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we believe in our heart, just like I believe these other companies think so too. So, but
Yeah.
we will cross that bridge when we get to it. Yes.
If
Julie.
I could just jump in for a second, we've got so much good information and good chat going on. I just want to assure everybody that we're going to make sure that we get a copy of this chat, and we'll put that in that resource page as well, because there's just so many good shares, and people are just sharing with each other and talking in the chat. So I just wanted to reassure everybody that we're going to grab that content for you.
Now, do me a favor, Julie. I'm sure I just want to double check. Maybe put Sarah on this. to just make sure positive that when we end this webinar, that chat conversation is also saved with the recording, and that we can deliver on that. If
That's what
not,
we were discussing.
okay, and if that's not the case, let's copy and paste or something, but let's not lose the chat.
Yes, I'm on it.
Okay, great. Thank you, Sarah. We've got, by the way, Sarah's another one of my team members. Let me go to Nina Moore. So Nina, I'm going to allow you to talk. You got your hand raised. You just have to now on your end, Nina, unmute yourself. And
okay,
there you are.
unmuted.
Okay.
There's just one thing that I wanted to add to the fact that are we going to go back to doing what we were doing? There's nothing that will ever replace human contact.
Yes.
We need relationships. We need the energy of proximity.
Yes.
When somebody is in front of you energetically, it's very different.
Yes.
So even though we like the Zoom thing where I can see everyone and what have you, it's not the same. So yes, we are going to be, kind of hungry for going back to meetings and classes and movies and restaurants.
I think you're so right, Nina. I think our members will have a new appreciation on all the hard work that you all do to bring a live event to them. Thank you, Nina.
Thank you.
That was very awesome. Thank you very, very much. So I'm going to go to the next question now, and I'm just going to lower that hand. I see what I did before with Letty. I fixed that. How do we keep track of online attendance, especially for CE? So Lisa from the Denver Metro, Tracy also from the Lancaster County, that was your question. How do we keep track of online attendance, especially for CE? And Marianne, if you're on the call, I think I would love to hear your thought on this. And anybody else, how are you doing that? Raise your hand to share your thoughts on this.
Yeah, if Deb or Kaylin and talk about, they mentioned in the chat class marker. Maybe explain some of, if they can get on and explain that for us.
Great. So somebody, who is that, Cindy?
Kaylin or Deborah.
Okay.
Deborah's raised her hand. So
Deborah, I just gave it to Marianne first. So Marianne, if you just you can talk. Go ahead.
Hi everybody. Hope everybody's well, and thank you for hosting this, Cindy and Darryl. Probably I'm just going to repeat what our state ed director Priscilla Toth held a conference call for all New York ed directors and gave us an overview of what would be required in New York. And basically it's similar to what Rita said, which would be everyone taking the online education via distance learning would have to have a webcam. And a staff person would have to monitor, similar to a classroom, make sure everybody was there. They would have to clear their browsers, download the handout, possibly have two screens, one to watch the, follow the handout and one to participate with the instructor. And a staff person would have to monitor it the whole time. So that's the parameters New York will have to work within.
All right, great. And is there, are you finding, Marianne, any platform that you prefer right now that helps with that, or?
We're sort of at a crossroad. Our technology staff has been using GoToTraining, and we had a lesson on that at 8 o'clock this morning, but honestly, I'm not hearing that. So we I think, are going to obtain a license through Zoom. And, if we're at a start point, let's start with that.
Got it. Okay, good. 8 o'clock in the morning. Marianne, I don't know about you, but I feel like I'm working harder than before the virus.
Oh my goodness, we were just saying that.
Everybody else taking walks around the block and wherever, eating and drinking and sleeping this.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's right. I'm in the office and I keep seeing people walking in front of my office. I'm like, oh my gosh, everybody's enjoying this time. But anyway, Marianne, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All right, I'm going to take care of that. And then we have Deborah. I'm going to unmute you. So Deborah, go ahead.
Okay, so as far as keeping track of who's there,
yeah.
Well,
doing is we're utilizing, at the state level, we're utilizing the local associations when we do a broadcast course.
Mm-hmm.
Using the, we give the member like a, something in front of their name so that the local can identify who they are. And they monitor those people, and they also are the ones that will, you know, administer the test and monitor that when it comes time for that. So we're using, you know, the same things that we do for other classes. Just it's more drilled down to the member's location instead of to the local.
Got it. Okay, great.
Did I answer your question?
You did. You did. Thank you so much, Deborah.
Oh,
Thank
good.
you. You're awesome. All right. So I got Abby, Chris. So let me, there you go, Abby. What do you got? And whoops, I just muted you by mistake. Let me unmute you. I think you should be good now, Abby. No?
Can you hear me now?
I can. Go ahead.
Okay, awesome. So Connecticut just recently approved the use of the virtual online classes. They were thinking of doing this prior to this whole crisis, but this kind of pushed them all forward. I can tell anybody who's listening that Dorna Carroll from Dynamic Directions met with the state and local associations for Connecticut twice this week to talk about, or I guess last week, to talk about how virtual live classes work. She also, back in September of last year, did a presentation for our regulatory body to basically say, this is how it can work, and this is why we need to go forward prior to all of this happening.
Wow.
So if you are a state association or even a local, you can always reach out to Adorna. She was awesome. In terms of keeping track of online attendance, a couple things. So first of all, she did say at one point, you know, while you're teaching the class or while the instructor is teaching the class, say everybody raise your hand. And you can see who's paying attention by those who are raising the hand. Take a picture of your screen and you can see the people who aren't raising their hand. Those people clearly aren't engaged. We also talked about validating ID. There was a suggestion of having people either upload when they register for the class or prior to the class emailing a copy of their license or passport. Some people really didn't know if that was something that people would embrace. And so then a second option would be for the instructor or the presenter to do a virtual a room on the side of the classroom prior to the start of the classroom where people can literally hold up their IDs to validate, yep, this is me, this is what I look like, and again, this is what I'm going to look like throughout the class. We talked briefly about having them be able to do that with their business card that had a photo on it, yep. But our personal real estate commission said, nope, we would rather have them actually use a state, you know, issued driver's license or ID.
Boy, that was awesome. That was some good stuff. That was great stuff. All right, so Abby, you know, Adorna, like if you have her contact information and stuff like that, drop it in that Facebook closed group for us here.
Yep, we'll do so.
Sounds like she's really busting some working hard to help us, and let's get that out there. Okay, I'm gonna put you on mute so you don't have to worry about it. And let's go on to the next question, which is, Marianne from the Long Island Board of Realtors, concerned about loss of revenue. Any ideas for the seminar? I have a note for myself to go to the next slide because, nope, this is wrong. Hang on. The next slide is also Hilda Beck from Greater El Paso. How do you balance giving members great value while earning non-dues revenue? So they're kind of combined, those two questions, and that's why I was reminding myself to show both slides. So gang, that's the question. The question is, what are we doing for revenue this time right now, you know, while we're canceling live classes? And again, some of you are not canceling live classes. Your state has not shut down, and some of you are, and you're getting that direction. So we have different levels. So what do we got? Raise your hand if you have any suggestions on this regard. And I've got Deborah again. All right, Deborah, you're on. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to comment that in Texas, at our association, we've got a travel restriction until the end of April. And it sounds like many of the large cities are going to be shelter in place as of today. So we're just delivering classes remotely, and basically that's how we're retaining revenue and also how we're providing value.
Now, are you charge? I guess you're charging, and how is your price structure? Is it different than the live class?
Nope, it's not any different. We've been offering broadcasts at the same price as the regular class for more than 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't deviate the price.
I know some people have asked that in the chat. If you're now not going to not charge for this or do straight because you're now going to this format and can't do the live, I, for one, I am not making the decision to change my fee. They're still getting great education. It's just delivered differently, but they're still getting the great education and information they need. So why wouldn't I charge the same amount for that, no matter how they get it?
Well, and that's just the thing, is that it's still just as much, if not more work than delivering it, like with our broadcast courses, delivering it to the local associations. This is more work for the local associations than it was before. And I feel like we're providing a service that is a good alternative for online courses. It's still a live class. They can still ask questions. They can still interact. So I don't see why we would reduce or eliminate a fee because of it. The only reason would you have members that are struggling because of what's going on.
Well, you can almost argue because they don't have to take the time to get in a car and drive and knock out a half a day for a 1 hour class. We should be charging more. I mean, you can almost argue that. Not that we're going to, but I think we have to explain the value. I think another thing with this regard to it, again, depending on the level of the virus and the state where you are, I think the members need to take everybody's got to help one another. Everybody's got to contribute to one another. And I think by the agents keeping their skill sharp in the business and continue to educate themselves while they're home and contribute to the board by paying for these classes, I think we all benefit. We all have to stick together. And I think that's part of the message that we have to get out. I have some suggestions. I was thinking about this question to help with the boards on the revenue, but let me jump over to Moji. Deborah, thank you very much. Am I saying that wrong? I'm probably saying that wrong.
No,
okay.
Moji.
It is Moji. Okay.
Yeah.
So Moji, you are off. Go ahead.
Okay, awesome. So I want to thank Deborah because I've been working with her team on GRI. This is actually their last day in their testing today. And we did the whole experience via Zoom. And my focus was just to make sure that they felt like they got the same quality education in a different format than what they're used to. And day one it presented challenges for us, but the feedback that we've been receiving from our members has been outstanding. And a lot of them are saying that they would take the class again. So to give you a preface of that, we had 48 members. We started out with 60. We maxed out at 60 and we had 60. And there were some individuals that wanted to take the course, but for them, they have small kids. They can't really focus on a screen while they've got their kids at home. So we had a few drop off and a few come into the course. So I think for me, it's been critical since day one. We're like Rita. From day one, we said, okay, we can't cancel our classes because our members still need to get renewal just in case that system is not changed. Our members, this is the perfect time for a lot of them to get caught up on education, knowing what's out there. And we're actually looking into various things like having webinars or panels where we can discuss what's going on, how it impacts your business, how you can adjust in this uncertain time, because I don't really foresee this going away anytime soon. And I actually say going well past the summer months. So we're just bracing ourselves for what we need to do internally. And so the revenue part is just really, and we've got messaging out there right now through our association that says, hey, we've got classes, we're still here for you. We're still offering the instructors that the courses that you want, take this opportunity to learn, to better your skills. That's really what we're honing in. While you've got some time maybe where you don't have clients, go back and polish off your bio. Go back and redo your profile. Go learn how to use Canva, start creating some graphics. And, we give had a course where our members were able to create graphics that they could share with their clients about different things and upcoming news and infographics. And so they're still able to add value, even though they might not have clients right now. So I think that's going to be the important thing, and just letting people know that you are still there, if you're still providing classes,
Right.
If you have any additional new classes that would feed into what's going on now, I think that's going to be an added value. And not all of our classes are paid classes. So we have a bit of, free classes and classes that we're just throwing into the mix. That's no CE, just to keep them informed. So I think that's going to be where, as an association, we have to, just make sure that we're understanding what's going on, and we're responding to their nervousness and anxiety about what's going on.
Moji, that's awesome. And I think one of the things you said in that, and we need to highlight and get that message out there, is that, when in sports, when they're off season, they don't sit on the couch eating pizza and drinking beer. And I'm not a sports person, but I somehow use sports analogies. What they still do is they still practice their skill and ability. Now, more closer to home for me is if an actor's not on Broadway, which, by the way, they're not, or they're not on television, they're still going to acting classes. So the message we have to get out, this is an actual opportunity for agents, especially if they're locked home, to work on their skill and ability, to take those classes they've been meaning to take, to get more tech savvy. And this is the plethora of information and training that you're going to provide them. Moji, thank you so much. I'm going to jump to Nate, and then Anna, and then Priscilla Toth. So let me take care of that. Nate, I'm going to put you up there, and then so you should be good to go, Nate. You just have to unmute yourself. And
all right, I think I'm unmuted. Can you hear me?
Yes, you are, sir. Yes, we can.
How's it going, Darryl? How's it going, Cindy? Thanks for putting this on.
Yeah, man.
I just wanted to say regarding the revenue, I wanted to echo what Deborah has said and what a few people have already said, that the online courses are just as valuable, if not more valuable, to some of your members. I would also not think about discounting an online course versus a live course, except in today's scenario. Yep. But under normal circumstances, it's the same price. Sometimes it's more if you can package more online. And I wanted to point out that at least for California, online activity is up recently because people are home, because so many points you guys have already talked about. People have the time, they're at home, and they're practicing while it's there. To use your analogy, the off season. If anyone's AOR was thinking about launching any kind of online education, this would be a prime time to do it, just to give your members some kind of resource to experiment with, and you can learn any pitfalls that you should be looking out for, and you'll still hopefully have some kind of revenue coming in with that. If you're deciding to experiment with that, this is the time to do it. If anyone's interested, I'd be happy to share my contact over at onlineed.com, which is the vendor that CAR uses in California. I can throw that in the chat, or
throw it in that Facebook group there, Nate. Because that'd be good. I want to use that as the hub if we can.
Sure.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. Thank you so much, Nate. Anna and Priscilla, before I jump to you, I just want to make sure I get this out, and then I'll bring it back to you. Is revenue ideas load up on your webinars. Here's an idea. This is something I know we're doing. I'm sure other speakers will do it, and that is doing share revenue. So let's say you wanted to bring a speaker in to do a topic that they're good at, and the name recognition will help sell seats to the webinar. We're waiving our fee. In some cases, we're not even doing share revenue. I'll tell you that in a second. But if it's outside of what we're offering, if you want to pay us something, fine. You don't, I don't care. Let's just help the agents, and let's help the boards generate the revenue. Get speakers to help promote the event. So I think Cindy will attest to, when I work with my people, my ed directors, we push hard to help promote, because then we all win. Look for sponsors. Maybe a sponsor will do a webinar on a particular topic, like repairing home inspectors. Let them pay to be that exclusive person that's going to be the instructor. If they don't know how to teach, maybe you do like how Cindy and I are both on the screen. You as the ed director would interview them and let them share their ideas. So now you got content, they're sponsoring, they're paying to be that person. Create a panelist interview with sponsors. Same thing. So that's an embellish on that. Here's something I'm going to tell you guys. I'm going to jump over to the resource. If you remember that resource page, here's what we're doing for the members too. It's at the top of that page, that new agent training. There's 2 topics that we're doing for anybody that wants it. And that is how to stay productive in this new real estate. This is a listing and selling webinar. As a matter of fact, we're doing it this Thursday. We have 2,000 agents that are going to be on it. But we'll do it for the board. So let's say you want a listing and selling in this new real estate reality, how to be virtual, the real estate. I'll do this for you guys and I won't charge. The Agent's Guide to Sanity. This is purely motivational. How to design a career, how to smile through this. So we're doing things and not charging because we want to help your boards and help the members. So let me go back to our slide here and let's go to Anna. Anna, I'm going to take you off mute. And then Priscilla, you are next.
Hi, I'm Anna. I'm from South Texas here, and I'm just kind of bringing in a local board perspective. And
yes,
we've been doing the Zoom webinars with TAR, with Texas Association of Realtors now for about 6 years, I believe. And we've marketed more as a membership benefit. These last 3 years, we've been exclusively broadcast courses. We're a small association of under 300 members, and so what we've been able to do is promote it to our membership as a look at all these classes and designations that we're able to bring to you as a broadcast and at a reduced fee, now that we don't have to pay instructors travel hourly rate. So now we're not so worried about how many people we can get in. As long as we have one person signed up for that class, we're hosting the class because it's more cost effective for us. And we're also being able to bring all those designation classes that we wouldn't normally be able to afford into our association and for our membership.
Now, Anna, you just said something that no one's talked about yet, but because you've been doing it so much, are you doing recording and then rebroadcasting it where you can keep it going and still generate money? So record it one time and then just repeat it over. Are you doing that?
No, no, because at that point, we're still requiring them to, at that time, I should say, we were requiring them to come into the association and take the class.
I see.
So the only portions that were getting recorded were designation classes, GRI, if they missed the day, then they could come back and take what they missed. But aside from that, no, we weren't recording it. Texas Realtors does a great job of offering those designations either quarterly, on a repeat basis. So we always say, hey, you missed this one, come back next month. It's going to be on these dates.
Awesome. Okay.
So that's one. Another topic that I want to discuss I know you mentioned earlier about revenue. We, like I mentioned, we've been doing this for a while. And at one point we had about 4 instructors on our roster that we were able to contract and do an agreement on, hey, if you get these amount of people in the class, how should I say this? I don't want to say numbers. I know they mentioned don't say numbers, but we had an agreement with the instructors. Hey, you do this class for us, you get a percentage.
Okay.
So that's how we've been able to do non-dues revenue income, having those instructors teach out from our location and also having students here.
Well, that's what I said earlier as far as the shared revenue, right? If the speaker is getting a piece of the door, if you will, as they'd say in the show business world, then it behooves them to sell more tickets and get more seats in the virtual seats in the thing. So I think that
yes. Awesome. And now that all this has happened, I'm actually CE instructor, I guess, certified now, so that I'm able to do classes for my agents while I'm at home because they just issued a lockdown in our area. So now I'm able to create those broadcast classes and then just to my agents as a member of benefit hey, remember how you have to use the new app or something like that? The Lockbox app, for example, we're trying to convert out of a card into an app. Come in 1 hour, of course, into a Zoom webinar, and let's do a class.
Awesome.
So I'm generating those courses
Awesome.
for this time period.
Awesome. Great suggestions, Ada. Thank you so, so much. I'm going to take care of you as far as the mute is concerned. And now I'm going to Priscilla. You're up. Just have to unmute yourself. There you go, Priscilla. Hi.
Good afternoon, everyone. Cindy, thank you, and Darryl for hosting this today. It's been great so far. Darryl, we go way back.
Yes, we do.
Too many years to count. I'm in New York State, and I mentioned in the chat earlier that New York has temporarily allowed us, because of the state of emergency and need to shelter in place, they've temporarily allowed us to deliver live classes via broadcast, provided, as Marianne mentioned, that we could observe the participants actually engaged in the programs. So for that reason, we're finally going to be next week offering some Zoom GRI classes through the Zoom webinar platform. And I've wanted to do this for many years. Deb Hernandez from Texas has been a great leader in this area. And but in New York State, our education program is overseen by an education management committee, and they've always been opposed to distance delivery for our designation programs. So in light of the current situation in New York State, our leadership team has allowed us to begin offering our GRI programs via Zoom. And I may kill myself after this, but we are actually only charging 1/5 of the regular tuition for our GRI programs.
Wow.
If they take them via the Zoom broadcast. And our leadership team stepped up and decided that this would be okay to do. We will be losing money on it, but we feel it's a tremendous service to our membership in the current state of affairs here in New York. Our real estate professionals are not really being allowed to do their jobs because of having to stay at home and avoid places and other people. And so we really feel at this point in time that while the DOS is allowing us to offer courses in this way, we are going to help subsidize the cost of that. And we're charging practically nothing for our GRI programs while we're in this situation. I'm sure after this is over and things are back to normal, we will probably continue to offer via Zoom webinar, but probably charge the same price we would for the classroom courses. And right now we're currently paying our instructors what we normally would. So, but we feel it's important as a member benefit.
That's awesome. And Priscilla, hearing your talk which is awesome to virtually see you. You reminded me real quick, and this is just a side conversation. You were instrumental in getting one of my classes approved for CE years ago for the triple play. So we were going to do an upstate New York event. We canceled it because of the virus. If you want to utilize me anyway, free, no money, if you want to do a class you got approved for New York, just let me know, okay? And then,
awesome, I'll be in touch.
Yeah, be in touch, charge whatever you want. My gift to you, anything I do to help, okay?
Thank you so much.
All right, Priscilla, it was great seeing you. I'm going to take care of you. So coming off, I'm going to go to the next question that we have. Should we be asking all education license requirements to be extended at the state level? From Kim Farley. I think we covered that. Let me go to, this is the one. Yes, our members love in-person CE, not too much online. How do we promote and encourage online classes? So from Roxy Glenn, Metro Tex, one of my favorite places to go. Roxy, great question. So how do we promote our online classes, being that people love the live thing and we're switching from that? Any suggestions? What are you doing to help get butts in the virtual seat? Any thoughts? Oops. Anything new or interesting? If you do, let me just jump. I have some thoughts, and if you have something, just raise your hand. Agents will choose online over in-person now because it's less risky. So that's one thing. I think, Roxy, we will see, and one of the ed directors said that just naturally because of the concern about the virus, more and more people will probably embrace that. If your state isn't currently on lockdown, start slowly introducing the webinars. Start to train your agents that this is an option. Look at resources page, and I'm not going to jump to the website again. It's pointed there, but there's so much that we put together for you guys to help you in making the decision on how to do this virtual stuff. Can we make, so Steve McDonald from Tennessee Realtors, can we make people more interested in registering for events in the far future, July and August, or should we turn our focus right now to virtual events? So does anybody have any thoughts as to your strategy on your schedule? Like, are you pushing, like Cindy pushed the rapid to August? Is there any, do you have a plan as to what you're doing with your live versus virtual? I think is the question here. And if I didn't do your question justice, Steve, please feel free to take yourself off hold or raise your hand, I mean. We have 15 more minutes. We're going to go. There's Priscilla. Go ahead, Priscilla. I've taken your, just unmute yourself and you're good to go.
I don't want to beat this to death, but I think we need to be proactive and act as quickly as we can in this situation.
Yes.
So we have taken all of our classroom courses and not canceled them, but we have postponed them until late summer or fall. And in the meantime, this is where we've taken our GRI program and found instructors who are very comfortable working in the distance environment and asking them to teach our GRI courses via broadcast right now so that people who need CE credit now can get it. The other thing in our state, the Department of State has allowed for a 6-month extension on CE programs or a 6-month extension on the CE requirements for license renewal. So anyone who can't get their education in can apply for a waiver for 6 months.
Awesome.
Just wanted to share that. So we're kind of mixing it.
Yep. Awesome. Very good. Thank you, Priscilla. I think I saw Abby. I'm going to take you off hold in just a second. I just want to show, give me 1 second, Abby. I want to show everybody where we are in the questions. Oh boy, we got a lot. Oh my goodness gracious. So I'm going to jump to Abby, and then I'm going to see about jumping around to see if the most important questions. So where is Abby? Give me a second here. Participants allowed to talk. Abby, go ahead. You're up.
Yes, one of the things that Connecticut figured out was there were maybe some older people or some people who weren't as computer savvy who really were scared of the online classes. And instead of trying to convince them to do virtual classes, a lot of us learned the other day that Connecticut actually has a retiree status license where they can kind of put their license on hold. They promise not to engage. There's a nominal fee of like $20 or so. And again, most of us had no idea that this status even existed. And this is something that in our state, they could easily hop back into a regular licensee status when the crisis was over and the virtual classes were back. So that might be something to kind of look deeper into some of your licensing options and see if there's an option for them to even put their license on hold instead of trying to force everybody to do virtual classes.
Great suggestion, Abby. Thank you very much. Very good. So we have Barbara Snowden. Hi, Barbara. I hope you're on the call. South Metro Denver was just there. Love you working with you guys. What length of time is optimal for the adult attention span? If anybody doesn't have any thoughts on it, if you do, raise your hand. I will just say real quick. The National Speaker Association, which I'm a member of, we actually had a study done on this. And what we found is that for every hour, it's not the same amount of content. So it's like 45 minutes. So 45 minutes is good per hour, you know, and as far as content, like what you would teach live in an hour would be 45 minutes. So I think the magic is, well, just look at this webinar. we've been going an hour and 15 minutes. How's our attention span? It's probably weaning down. And, us to go an hour and a half, which we're going to, is probably good enough, because the mind will absorb what the seat can endure. And with a webinar kind of format, there's a lot of concentrated material too. So you got to take a break and absorb it, So Deborah, you have a thought on that too. Let me go ahead. Deborah, you're good.
I just wanted to comment that we're actually doing our GRI, which is a 30-hour course, and have been for 6 years through broadcast. And we just, we take a break every, depends on what the material is, every hour or 2 hours. If it's 2 hours, it's 20 minutes. But we just take breaks just like we would in a regular classroom.
Now, how are the breaks? Are they like 15? Like, are you teaching that, like, how many hours is one module, like, or is it spread out over days, Deb?
It's 8-hour days.
Wow.
4 days. And
Whoa.
we've had tremendous attendance. I mean, people really like the fact that they don't have to travel anywhere. They don't have to pay for a hotel.
Wow.
They attend at their local association. So, I mean, I would say probably since we started offering this, I've done some, just some snapshot type of stuff, but probably 35 to 40% of our new GRIs have been from this environment.
Wow.
Where they're attending broadcasts at their local associations. They don't have to travel.
Well, you guys
couldn't do it.
Yeah.
My concern is we do 3 hours for a CE course, and that's kind of my concern is we build a break in there. They're going to need a break. They're not going to want to sit for 3 hours.
Right.
How do you make sure when you're in a state that says they have to be in there 100% of the time, you make sure they all come back on time at the end of that 10-minute break?
Well, we have video. I mean, there's two-way video at all times. I mean, we do it in a meeting environment, not like this. So we have visual of them, and we're using, like I said, the local associations to kind of monitor their own.
Yeah.
Well, and here's the thing too. Again, like Cindy, like I just want to highlight this. This format we're doing here is a webinar because we maxed out. But if this was a go-to meeting, right, then we could have had 49 people on the screen at one time. Like we would see everybody's faces, 49. And it's recorded the whole time. So if we take a break, so you would, a state could actually, if it was a 49-person class, could actually see, there's the proof. These are the people paying attention. You can see their faces, or if they mute out, or they're walking away out of camera shot. So, and there's on that website that's there in front of your screen there, the new training reality that we created for you, there's other softwares that are designed for training, to deliver training classes with quizzes and tests that we put together for you. So you should look at those too. I see Rita. I'm going to take you off mute, Rita. So there you go.
Okay, so yes, we have verification processes that we go through with all classes, whether they are 3 hours or 8 hours, and we try to make the experience just as if they were actually sitting there in the classroom. And so I do ask that all the instructors put up a timer when they go on break, so that the student knows when they are supposed to be back in their seat, when they need to be back on camera, and not on their phones, not having their mouth move while they're on mute and that sort of thing. And so that's why we have someone that is auditing, the instructors facilitating, teaching, doing their best to engage, but also somebody on the other side, on the back end, kind of watching, seeing the interaction, engagement. We had a Legal 1, Legal 2 class on Saturday. We had about 40 people registered, 40 people on the call, and or on the class, and there was one person that didn't come back after 10 minutes after the break, and so they were just removed from the class. And they called in later and said, "What happened?" And we said, "Well, you never came back, and it's a compliance class, and you have to be on the camera, and we stated the rules." And they said, "Okay," and they got busy with something else and didn't come back, so they just had to reschedule for that. But there are options on the Zoom webinar, the Zoom GoToMeeting, and most are just regular meeting, and then a lot of different, like you were saying, online training platforms. that have tools such as breakout rooms and,
Right.
different things that you can actually do, even if the people aren't live in a classroom, that you can have those people break out into little subsections and work on projects and
Yeah.
then report back as a group. And so you do have to get with the instructors and make sure that they are clear on everything from the techie side. So there's a little learning curve there, but there's a lot of instructors who have been doing broadcast teaching for several years now. Like you, Darryl, you've been doing video and using live broadcasts, so you're more familiar with the whole process and making things seamless and systematic. So you just kind of have to identify those instructors and really, for those that are wanting to learn it, give them access. Tell them they're going to have to do their due diligence. They're going to have to learn those engagement techniques and those different things on the backside so that they can implement them in the classroom. So as far as an engagement, I think if you can treat it just as if it's a live in-person thing, then it should be, there shouldn't be a reason to limit the length of the class.
Rita, it's great stuff. And I want to just highlight for people that something you said that I think we should keep in mind is that when you're looking to hire a speaker trainer to do a virtual session, I think and if you've never worked with them before or seen the work that they've done, you should audition them. You should have them set up a class for you to log in and see how their energy is, see how they deliver it, see the connection. Like, are they wobbly? Is it bad internet connection? So I would really audition them. These are the training platforms that we researched for you guys. I'll be honest with you. We are not using any of these. Marianne told me about the GoToMeeting. My office started to look at this LearnCube, but these are other platforms that you can look at out of the box that might help you. So some of you are going to take some time to research this stuff.
I want to ask Rita a question. In doing all of that, you and Deb, my question now is not from, it's great learning all of the ways we can monitor it. I want to know from student management, because even on a live class, they go to lunch, their reminder email tells them, the policies tell them, and I have to state it at the beginning of class, you have to be in here 100% of the time. And then when they come back from lunch, I've got pissed off members. I can just see it being a little bit more of a, how do you manage them
It's actually
in this
easier.
environment?
It's actually easier because you have a timer up, right? And you say at the beginning, and I'll share on Facebook after we're done with this, a nice little image that one of our instructors helped us to kind of to draft up that's got, rules of the student, engagement activities. You wouldn't be in a classroom on your phone while the instructor's speaking. You wouldn't be, eating and talking to other people around you if you're during the middle of a class. So just different engagement takes, and we very clearly state at the beginning, here's your responsibility as an online student. Here's your responsibility for both compliance and for credit and for just overall engagement. And so we put that timer up and we let them know, hey, if you're not back, and the auditor notices that you've been gone, a few minutes after, we try to give them about 10 minutes because we're not going to be, totally, because somebody might have had something, but we're pretty good about it. And actually our instructor said with having to remove people, it's actually easier because there's no confrontation. They're not coming in 15, 30 minutes after their lunch break and you sending them back out saying, sorry, you came back too late, you can't get credit. They just
Rita,
remove them and turn them off.
Can you see the timer that I put on the screen here?
Yep.
Yeah, I just found that it was like a free thing. I searched really quick, which was, a PowerPoint timer, and it's actually a software called the Slideshow Timer. So, yeah, that's awesome. Very good.
And just from the standpoint of the student themselves and the member, we've gotten a fantastic response because they're just grateful that we're still offering products and services to them whenever they're not able to leave the house, they're not able to maybe engage in business. So we're giving them some perks. We do offer free classes as well as fee-based classes. But, they've really been excited about it. We've had a couple people that did sign in. We have 80 people signed up for our MLS class. So we had to kind of go back and limit some of the classroom sizes just from an engagement standpoint for a student-teacher ratio.
Wow.
So we kind of learned that. But we had a couple people that said, you know what, I'm going to wait until there's a in-person class because this isn't for me. But then I've gotten an overwhelming response that, oh my gosh, we're so grateful that we have this option. And so again, kind of going back to, is it going to take the place? Probably not for everybody. There will be some people that are like, hey, this is for me.
Right.
But it's a broad brush stroke. I mean, I think it's with what we've kind of always said is everybody learns differently. Everybody likes different things. And so this is just going to kind of add some icing on the cake. And once everybody kind of gets on the same page with being able to learn different technologies and ways to keep people engaged, I think it'll really be a success and a win for the associations.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rita. Now, here's what we're going to do is, we are now an hour and a half, and there's so many more questions that we didn't get to, but I think we need to end it at this point. Cindy, do you have any thoughts or comments before we close this out here?
Other than that, we probably need to go ahead and schedule to continue. It's obvious we all need it, and we're getting lots of great information. As those of us that are new to it, can come back and ask people like Rita and Deborah and those that have the great experience. We're going through things. Okay, here's what I experienced. How can you help me with this? What can you tell me? We can all just continue to help each other as we transition through. So I think it'd be great if we set up another masterminding session and to get to some of these other questions that maybe we didn't today.
Yeah, do you want to, and Julie, I want your input on this. When should we do another call? Because I do want to get to these other questions. I mean, this is, I think, was so great. Tell me what we should do, gang. Do it next week, give it a week, do it next Monday or Tuesday or Friday, or give me something. And then whoever can make it, and we'll record it.
What do you think, Cindy?
People are putting up some answers now where they're saying weekly would be great. So let's look at next week. They're saying like Monday or Tuesday.
Let's do Tuesday. Do you want to do early? We chose.
We have one no Monday. What if we look at weekly on Tuesdays? Tuesday
it is. Give me a time.
Do we want to stick to the same time? Make it easy. Tuesday, same time, same channel? Place?
Everybody? Anybody chatting? I'm not looking at the chat. Is that good?
Everybody's saying yes.
Yeah.
Good. Okay.
I don't know if I'm trying to make sure we don't have a conflict, Darryl.
All right, you check that while I say a couple of things here. Julie's just going to check our schedule. In the meantime, please, gang, my office worked really hard to put together this website for you. And again, please check it out. There's a lot of stuff we loaded, and we're going to continue. So as we come up with new ideas or research, we're going to be posting it on that website for you. The second thing is, I don't know what our turnout was on the Facebook group, but that's going to be our dumping place. There's my phone number. I joke, but I'm serious. I'm not flying anywhere. I'm here. All I'm thinking about is how to help realtors, period. That's all my team is doing 24/7. And I mean that literally. So just feel free to call me. If you have any question, if I don't have the answer, I will find it for you. This Thursday.
Again, I can vouch for that because he calls me at all different and they are working very hard for us and for our members.
Thank you, Cindy. I appreciate that. This, just so you guys know, there's 2 seminars I'm giving you guys free if it'll help you and your members. One of them I'm doing to our group this Thursday. If you go to that website that's on the screen right now, it says
put it in presentation mode, Darryl.
Okay, well, can you see it, Julie?
Yep.
Okay, so if you go to this poweragentwebinar.com, it'll show you the dates and time. You will have to reserve because you get a dedicated link to the webinar. So if you want to see the content that I'm teaching, which is essentially how to deal with this new real estate reality. You know, if you're locked in, how are you be virtual? There's a lot of motivation in there too. So check that out. And if you think it's good and you want me to do that just for your board, let me know. There's no charge. And there's another seminar we're doing at no charge for you guys. My point here is we're a resource. We're in this together. And all I care about, and I know you do too, is how to help the members get through this difficult time. And watch that video that's on this website too that I recorded for you. If you think it'll help your members, share it with them. There's good content in there that you can steal to get the message out yourself. So if nothing else, look at it that way. All right, Cindy, thank you so much for what you do. Thank you, everybody, for being on this call. And we will send out a note. Julie, are we good for next Tuesday at 1 o'clock?
You are, yes.
Great. That'll be the date. I will be sending out information, though, so don't worry. We'll take good care of you. All right, gang, God bless you. Stay safe and stay strong. And, of course, don't forget to keep smiling, all right? Cindy, bye.
Bye.
All right,
Sarah,
bye-bye.
wrap the chat.